throughout the last several years of OS tournament history, and particularly World Cup history, these two teams have been duking it out for the title of world champion across multiple rank ranges, both in the OS World Cup and in the three-digit World Cup. The United States and South Korea have been head-to-head in the grand finals, now in the OS World Cup for 3 years in a row, now in the three-digit World Cup for 3 years in a row. The dominance these two teams have over the very tippy top of the rankings in tournament play is unparalleled. And once again, we join the two strongest countries in the World Cup series for another bout of the three-digit World Cup Grand Finals, this time with the roles reversed, both from the previous 2 years of 3WC and from this year's OS World Cup, with the United States starting out on the winner's bracket side. I'm Dio, and I am happy to be here for this Grand Finals alongside this one guy. Good morning, finally.
Good morning. It is indeed, technically speaking, morning time, and what a time it is. Once more, we get to see the United States and South Korea in a World Cup setting. United States looking to, reverse their fortunes that they've been struck by in recent years. Of course, losing grand finals here last year, losing grand finals in OWC last year as well. And maybe put together a team that is capable of doing that. Already beating South Korea last week in the winners' final and sending them to losers' side. So now South Korea stuck trying to make it back up through a first set and a bracket reset in a grand final. But, it's hard to bet against South Korea at this point, as they have proven themselves more than capable of winning grand finals in these big tournaments over the past couple of years. So very, very excited to see what happens tonight. Of course, South Korea already has won once on this pool earlier, a real one-sided affair against Germany in that losers bracket final, 7-1. So definitely showing that they're more than capable of performing well in this pool. United States hasn't had to show any info yet, but based on last week, I think they're going to come ready to play as well. So battle on our hands.
Indeed we do. South Korea, as you said, already played one bout of this grand finals pool against Germany, and as you said as well, pretty one-sided. There were a few maps that I think South Korea did do pretty well on in that grand finals pool, but a few maps as well that I think the United States has a better chance on against South Korea than Germany did. So I expect this one to be a lot closer, similar to that winner's bracket finals that we saw, which was 7-4 in favor of the United States. Lots of changes from last week to this week. Nomad 2 this week, rather than being 225 BPM, a little bit more accessible, a little lower BPM, now 260 BPM, and the DT2 instead a little bit more of an accessible BPM for some of these players, around 230 BPM. A lot of really, really tricky flow aim picks this weekend. And a couple of difficult tech maps as well. The reading pick in Nomad 5 is just absolutely brutal this week alongside that Hidden 3. So there's quite a few maps that are going to present real challenges to getting even decent scores for a lot of these players, because this is the grand finals after all. A lot of these picks are quite difficult. So let's see where they want to start off here. It's going to be a first ban for the United States of the Hard Rock 1, not wanting to give South Korea access to the basic aim and flow aim consistency in that Hard Rock 1. It's a Knowledge King custom. You get a lot of jumps, you get a little flow aim on the streams, and that's pretty much it on that map. A real quick Hidden 3 and DT3 ban from South Korea, banning out the low AR hidden pick. That is some CS2 alt BPM low AR hidden reading with quite a few overlapping patterns. Not as many perfect stacks anymore. There was an old version that had quite a lot of perfect stacks. Not quite that difficult anymore. And then, of course, Drenched in Air, the DT3, which is very, very tapping focused, 285 BPM speed in that map, alongside tech finger control and slider aim. So that is a very, very difficult speed pick to deal with in this pool.
Yeah, and I think pretty much what you would expect with the Hidden 3 ban coming out last week for the South Korea against the USA. They also had it banned against them earlier today. by Germany, banning it themselves again here against the USA. Maybe a little afraid of the USA reading roster. Obviously, no surprise to see a team wanting to ban out speed against this USA team, which has such good fear and control tech kind of mechanics players. And the last ban, DT4, coming from the USA, is a little bit of a curveball to me. That one, of course, a little bit lower BPM DT, focusing more into, kind of the finger and aim control. So it does line up with a lot of what South Korea has traditionally been good at, but I don't know if it's necessarily where I would have anticipated them going. The Hard Rock one feels to me a little bit like PTSD from the OS World Cup, where USA was just beaten soundly on every aim map by the best aim roster pretty much ever before seen in a World Cup. So USA not wanting to have to deal with a South Korean roster on an aim map. But that leaves us a lot of really interesting picks in this match, right? We saw South Korea put up some pretty good scores against Germany on some of those mechanics maps, right? They won the Nomad 2 against Germany. They won the DT1 against Germany. They won the DT2 against Germany as well. Those maps all available here in this match also. And then, of course, as you mentioned, the really, really challenging tech and reading picks this week. Several of those still available to us as well. The Nomad 4 Hidden 2, very, very challenging tech picks. The Nomad 5 Free Mod 3, both very challenging reading picks. So there's going to be some very contested maps, I think, in this pool going throughout this match. So I'm really interested because I'm not sure on the pool that's gotten this much harder that I have a great feel for necessarily how the teams will want to approach it, considering the differences in strengths and weaknesses between the United States and Germany. I don't know that you can go like one-to-one comparison for what South Korea picked in that match. So we'll see. It's USA going to opt into the Nomad 5 to start with. So it did feel like, based on last week, USA does have a strength in possibly some of the reading and gimmick stuff against the South Korea roster, and they're going to test the waters there to start things off.
Yeah, and I think the real kicker for this match and for predicting picks and talking about the strategy for both of these teams is that these teams are very different from the OS World Cup teams we saw from these two countries last year in October, November, December. South Korea in that tournament was the uncontested king of aim control, alt, and raw aim. This time around, not so much. The United States has beaten them on those skill sets before. Germany just beat South Korea yesterday on some Nomad 1, just the pure aim consistency. They did lose picks like the Free Mod 1, but it remains a fact that South Korea is beatable on these sorts of picks now. And so the pick strategies for both of these teams also changed. Last week, South Korea was beating the US on Nomad 2, which is speed stamina, right? So the dichotomy of pick strategies for these teams that we saw in the World Cup doesn't exist here. And I think this Nomad 5 first pick for the US is completely emblematic of that. As you said, Aaron, they won the low AR Nomad reading pick last weekend against South Korea. This is a very different type of map, but it still speaks to the confidence this team has in beating South Korea on these low AR gimmick picks, which traditionally are their bread and butter. Traditionally, South Korea is a team that has players upon players who are extremely good at this, but I think the United States in this case has a lot of really, really good gimmick players for something like this. Swing low AR reading. This is an incredibly dense map because all of the swing patterns in this come out to 192 BPM rather than 128 BPM. You also have to deal with the rhythm changes in this map. You have to deal with slider aim. You have to deal with the overlapping patterns in this map. It is incredibly difficult. So you have to have confidence going into this one if you are going to first pick it. And for the United States, that confidence, I think, is founded right now, given the scores we saw last week from both of these teams. Into the first map of the grand finals between the United States and South Korea. The United States first picking the low AR reading Nomad 5.
Yep, and for reference, as we get into this one, South Korea, of course, played this earlier, won it against Germany with a team score of 1.1 million, and that was with a 570k from Fragrance of Pages, the best score in that lobby by over 200,000 points. So you are not going to see incredible scores on this. It is such a ridiculously challenging map. 300k is a good target for any individual player, and you're already seeing kind of why. These perfect stacks, the overlapping sliders, the awkward rhythm and control aim required, and already a couple of early breaks from multiple players. The United States with a full team reset, in fact. Meanwhile, it's Amamiya Kokoro and Fragrance of Page holding through the first entire third here. They were the two best scorers earlier, and they're showing why here again, as they're looking to perform well on this map twice in the same round. And United States is falling far behind as they're unable to establish any sort of combo halfway through. It's already a 200,000 point lead for South Korea, and Fragrance of Page still holding the FC. 91 Act be damned, but he's still got the combo going, and United States has absolutely nothing to try to bring this back.
And Aaron, Amamiya Kokoro scored 364K in the previous matchup against Germany. He's already there in this match against the United States. Fragrance of Page as well is on target to match at least his previous score of 570K. Has now beaten his combo from the other day and is still on track for an FC at the moment. And despite Zaisen Udongan, despite Restia struggling a little bit on this map, it just will not matter because Fragrance of Page and Amamiya Kokoro are so far out ahead of everyone else in the lobby that South Korea is going to take this point right back and say last weekend was a fluke. This is no longer your territory on these gimmicky low AR reading picks. We get the point on this one.
To start this match off, a short pick like that one and really winning it comfortably for South Korea. They're never in doubt because Page and Amamiya Kokoro kept those combos going for so long. You know, halfway through the map, South Korea still had a double FC. United States didn't have a single combo for about 120. And that was just how it went. And it was basically already over at that point. I mean, it's one of the shortest maps in the pool, and it was over within about half of that duration. So South Korea here to play. You know, obviously it's going to look like a mispick. You know, when you look at the results, you can't expect the USA predicted they would get a score like that, and probably didn't expect South Korea to put up the score that they did. But be that as it may, those two things all happened. And now South Korea starts off with Breakpoint and the advantage their way, 1-0 to start, and their pick can be just about anything. Do they go into that aim that the United States took away from them a little bit, or do they opt into maybe one of those speedy stamina-based maps like they won against Germany earlier? Kind of the world is their oyster. You get a bit of a free start to the match.
Well, it seems we're going to be looking at typical South Korea versus USA sort of matchup to start things off. South Korea winning the low AR and going right into tech here with the Nomad 4. Now, this is a little bit less straightforward tech than you usually expect. This is still a lot of slider difficulty, but quite a lot of mechanics difficulty in this map as well. 214 BPM with tons of streams, tons of finger control, alongside the slider tech difficulty to be found in this pick. So quite a significant tapping strain in this map. It's little bit more of a mixed bag than a lot of other custom Nomad 4 tech picks in tournaments, which means players who are a little bit more well-rounded, players who can kind of go in for anything and everything, are going to be very well off on this map. And South Korea has a couple of tech specialists who also fit that bill. Amamiya Kokoro and notably Fragrance of Page. Very, very strong all-rounders who also happen to specialize in these sorts of maps.
Yeah, I actually do like this pick a fair amount with those things in mind. I think if you're South Korea, a lot of the maps that bring in Amamiya Kokoro and Fragrance of Page as a duo with whoever it may be as your third member are going to be good options throughout this match, as we just saw in that first pick from the USA, right? South Korea got in Fragrance of Page, Amamiya Kokoro +1, and the +1 was irrelevant, and they still would have won. And so looking to do, you know, the same thing again here. I think when you're not expecting FCs, right? You put in players like that, you're not worried about a third player syndrome because the scores are just not going to be high enough for the third player's difference to matter, right? It's not going to be like a DT2 where you might have two FCs, but if your third player is only dropping 300k, then it's a problem. On something like this where you're dropping 400, 500k, your third player getting 200k isn't going to be as bad. So I think that kind of map and that kind of roster construction on maps like this is going to be really good for them. That being said, as we get into it, you get Pez in for the USA, you get Taquito in for the USA. So some, again, kind of mech tech specialists. A map that the USA can have some success on. That was a little bancho at the beginning. But this is I think, a map that should be pretty contested as well, because both teams have good rosters for it on paper.
Shout out as well before we get into things to Akiri for the original song on this one, and also to Lollicor for the map of the song. A couple of early breaks to start things off. 80 Nuggets and Fragrance of Page finding some very early drops here, but still 2-2 on the FCs, and pretty even combo for both of these teams. Accuracy generally a little higher for South Korea, but all of that accolade right now is Fragrance of Page versus 80 Nuggets. Pez and Taquito, notably those FCs, still on that high accuracy, matching Allegrisimo and Amamiya Kokoro for South Korea. And a third of the way in, this one looking a lot closer than the Nomad 5 did at the start of the map. So both of these teams still holding their ground, holding their own on this map, and trading back and forth. But there's finally an untraded break from Pez. 80 Nuggets and Fragrance of Page traded right before that, but now it's 2-1 in the FCs for South Korea. Allegrisimo and Amamiya Kokoro able to hold there, where it's just Taquito for the United States.
And Taquito's got to be the one to continue holding, and he breaks as well. We head into that little flow pattern. Amamiya Kokoro to fall also, but Allegrisimo holds on, and Fragrance of Page still matching 80 Nuggets. That is Bracket C Bracket, or Cal, whatever you'd like to call him. But what really matters is just that you still have that FC on Allegrisimo on South Korea's side. It's holding on to this lead and growing. There is finally the break, but it's traded by both 80 Nuggets and Taquito. As we get into one of the coolest sections of any map in this entire pool, this 1/3 aim control rhythm section is really awesome, both in terms of music and in the map. But it is causing breaks left, right, and center. Virtually everyone in the lobby has broken at some point in this portion, and that means that South Korea's lead is more than safe going into the ending.
Yeah, unfortunately for the United States, I don't think there's too much they can do during this ending section here. A couple of more breaks come out for 5 members in the lobby, just Pez to hold through the start of this last little bit of map. And this score lead going nowhere fast for South Korea. Still 175k. Did drop down a little bit from 215k or so. Drops about 40k down, but not going to matter whatsoever. That's a 2-0 start to the grand finals for South Korea, who last week had a tough time against the United States, had a tough time getting off the ground in that winners finals match. Now off to a running start here in the first bout of grand finals with that consolidated breakpoint. And I think quite a lot of options left in the pool based off what we've seen so far. The low AR Nomad and the tech pick Nomad so far going their way opens up picks like the Hidden 2, picks like the Freemod 3 in this pool. Opens up a couple of the other more density focused reading maps as well. So a very good start for South Korea. And the United States, I think, should look to find some footing in this match. Find a couple of successful picks that can lead them into other picks later on in the pool. Things like the DT2 or the Nomad 2. Maybe one of the other aim maps like the Nomad 1 or Freemod 1 if they want to go that route as well.
Yeah, I was thinking it's probably just a tapping mechanics type of angle here. With that Nomad 2 or DT2, of course, the DT3 being banned out, that would have been maybe the other option. But I think I like going into something that is just a pure mechanics test here with this US roster. I think, you throw Taquito and Pez +1 at one of those just raw speedy tapping maps, because it felt to me like the South Korean third scores on a couple of those picks earlier were not the greatest. You had one FC and 2 decent scores on the Nomad 2. You had one FC, a decent score, and a not so great score on the DT2, right? So if the United States feels like they have 3 members for either of those maps, they would be a great option. However, they're going to go into the Freemod 4 instead. So they're going to go like Freemod aim control tech. This is a lot of map, but again, again, it's a map that would open up other options, but it's also like you just lost Nomad 4, so I'm not really sure I necessarily follow.
I kind of get it, because this is a lot easier than Nomad 4, for one. This is one of the easiest maps in the pool. It's also a lot more the aim control than the tech, right? There's definitely tech elements, but this is much more the aim control alt than it is the tech sliders in this map. So I kind of get it. It does open up a couple of other things. That said, I definitely agree maybe a more mechanics-focused pick might have been better here for the United States to go through. But you never know what the scores are, right? So let's go ahead and see what they can do on Virus Funk. Some CS 3.5, AR 9.5, very snappy alt-aim in this Free Mod 4 pick.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think like the United States here. It's we were talking before the match really got started about maybe South Korea is a little less spec'd into elements of the aim control that they would have had in past years with worst HR player on the team, whereas the United States has some players who are really good in those skill sets. They did bring in Ethan Tricks. They do have Taquito and Pez, so you've got a super strong roster for that skill set on the USA side. That being said, to me, this feels a little risky in a way that I don't necessarily love, but I will trust that the United States has their, knows, obviously they know their scores on this map, know what they're capable of. They have hidden preference players. They're going to overmod on the hidden, 2 hiddens, 1 on Taquito, 1 on Ethan Tricks, and the Hard Rock on Pez. So clearly feeling good, feeling comfortable with this pick, and they need to be, because you really don't want to start this match off falling behind 3-0. So for United States, you're hoping that this one goes well, and they can stop the early momentum from going too far South Korea's way.
Well, it's a good start here for the United States. Early break on Allegrisimo on that Hard Rock. Amamiya Kokoro on the hidden alongside both Ethan and Taquito. Fragrance of Page is the only no-mod in the lobby. As you said, 2 hidden preference players for the United States, both preferring to take that hidden over the no-mod. So early combo lead for the US. Not too much else going on at the moment. Accuracy lead for them as well, but not going to matter nearly as much as that early combo lead. And another break here for Allegrisimo on the Hard Rock. Going to start to let the US run away with it here a little bit, up to now 150,000 score lead. But there goes Pez. Will finally trade out those misses on the Hard Rock player. So Swirly is going to start to equalize a little bit here. Stick around that 150k mark for a little while as the combos are even, and despite the higher accuracy for the United States, ever so slightly more combo for Allegrisimo than for Pez. That said, the score still slightly going in favor of the US at about 160k now. And you can see as the axe shifts up and down, it goes back up and down from 150k, 140k, etc., etc. So just going to wait on some more breaks to come through here. And it's another one for South Korea. Allegrisimo finds the drop once again on the Hard Rock. And you can see a lot of players very, very comfortable on this. We still have 4 FCs in the lobby. No, there goes both of them for the United States. Pez also drops immediately afterwards. Fragrance of Page and Amamiya Kokoro now take it back instantly for South Korea. Amamiya Kokoro will find the drop, but it's Fragrance of Page to hold the FC into the end and secure a second breakpoint in a row, the 3rd consecutive point for South Korea. 3-0 to start the match off, and it looked so good until suddenly it didn't. They were winning until they lost.
It's the old Dignitas curse. Up until they lose the game, they're winning. Oh man, you hate to see that for the USA, man. Oh, that is brutal. Ethan and Taquito breaking on the same pattern, man. Fragrance of Page, shout out. The lone no-mod player in the lobby drops the only FC. Well, that is pain if you are the United States or a United States supporter, and you're going to really like seeing that if you're South Korea, because it feels like you stole a point away a little bit there. And they're going to be the ones opting into the tapping mechanics here, Dio. They're going to say, no, we're jumping into DT2. We are going to say, Parisia, do your thing. You FC'd this earlier. Let's have you FC this again.
And you know what else? Last week, during the winners finals, one of the 4 points that South Korea won against the US was on No-Mod 2, which last weekend was 225 BPM stream and stamina consistency. This is a little bit faster, right? A little bit higher AR as well. AR 10.1, 237 BPM. But very similar in terms of the type of map. So you can kind of compare those scores from last weekend. The United States was the bottom score on that No-Mod 2 last week. South Korea was the number 2 overall score with not Parisia, but Fragrance of Page dropping the FC in winners finals. So the fact that they have 2 players who could realistically drop a very good score on this map and turn things around compared to the US bodes very well for them. Now, will Fragrance of Page go in for this one? Probably not. They didn't field him last time around, and it looks like Restia is back in the lobby for this once again, so probably not going to be the case. Probably just going to be Parisia, Doomsday Fanboy, and Restia once again for South Korea. Alagrissimo putting on his best trader pants right now in the first slot for the United States, but probably not playing this one either. But still, South Korea last weekend won the stamina speed map against the United States and are looking to repeat that performance here, as that was one of their most decisive points last weekend.
And much like the previous map felt like the United States, kind of really could have used to win that one, this is like full on red alert if you don't get a breakpoint back on this as the United States, because where do you go after this if you lose this map as well? So this is going to be a very important map, not only because it would give South Korea the 4-0 double break lead, but because it's just another skill set that it feels like they're playing better today. So big concern here for the USA if they can't find a way to get a break point here. And that being said, it feels a little reliant for South Korea on Parisia because he was the best scorer on their team by over 300k. But if he can do it again, and I mean, why not? Then they're going to be in a good place. This United States tapping roster is scary, though, and this is just a raw stamina map all the way through. It's almost 2,000 total combo over the course of 3 minutes, and you can see already how it goes. And that is a small, tiny early lead by about 30 combo for the USA, but just watch and let it play out because these combos are going to get massive. There is the first big break, though, and it's going to be on the side of Pez from the USA.
Flamestar also dropping right afterwards. Parisia did find a break a little earlier on, so down about 300 combo from that FC, but that's 2 FCs down for the United States, neither of them even close to that 400 combo that Parisia has right now. Doomsday Fanboy on the reverse choke, just barely finding a drop right at the beginning of the map, 30 combo back from an FC, and Restia, who in the losers bracket grand finals dropped only 381k, only 600 combo on this map, is the only FC left for South Korea, pulling up when the team needs him to, when the other 2 players have found those early breaks, and continued breaks now from the US as Flamestar drops another miss. There's finally the break for Restia, Zaisanu Donggain finding that next break for South Korea, but Doomsday Fanboy is there to match Takedo, and Parisia has better combo than Pez on the support, so it's still combo lead for South Korea, 145,000 points to their name right now, and climbing halfway through.
Yeah, that was such a sad miss from Rusty as well, one of the last notes of that stream, but fortunately the team backing him up. But it's eyes on Takedo here. The accuracy not quite as high as maybe he would like, but holding the combo strong as there's another couple of breaks from Rusty, and that's going to start to help the USA pull this back. Parisia's combo is crucial. Doomsday Fanboy still holding that near FC is crucial. Flamesphere breaking is going to be big. That is going to allow South Korea to climb back into the Fanboy in a 1v1 here against Takedo, holding enough accuracy that the score is nearly identical between those 2 players, despite the slight combo discrepancy. And there's Pez breaking. Parisia still holding. Into the end we go. 300k. Takedo falls as well. And this is just South Korea. It is all South Korea all the time. Whatever happened last week, they have left firmly in the rear view mirror because they came this weekend ready and raring to go in these grand finals week matchups. The 7-1 over Germany looking like it was not at all a fluke, as they are now going to be up 4-0 against the United States. This is 4 maps on the trot to start out this grand final. Even coming from losers, they don't care. They are here to stake their claim.
And stake their claim they will. That is a huge improvement over their team score against Germany. An extra 300k on top of that team score that they had against Germany. So massive improvement for this South Korean roster on this map, as the United States just not quite able to measure up. And even if South Korea had only dropped their team score that they got against Germany, it still would have been enough. So either way, the United States is losing that pick. Extra score this time around or not for the side of South Korea, as they continue to put on a show of dominance in the grand finals here. This is looking very good for South Korea and very bad very quickly for the US. We talk a lot about predicting picks and where teams want to go into a map pool next. Well, low AR reading is won by South Korea, so you probably don't pick the Fremod 3. That's the only direct comparison you can make at this point. Nomad 4 is won by South Korea. That means you probably don't want to pick the Hidden 2. It's really the only true tech map left in the pool. Fremod 4 is won by South Korea. Okay, now you start to not want to pick into stuff like the Nomad 3 and the Hard Rock 2, so maybe those are no longer options either. And now the DT2 is gone, so you probably don't want to pick into the Nomad 2 or the DT1. What does that leave up, right? Where do you have options now as the United States? The maps I didn't mention are Nomad 1, Hidden 1, Hard Rock 3, Fremod 1, and Fremod 2. And that's really it. That's kind of unaffected by what has gone on so far. So picking into one of those, you're really, really opting into a heavy amount of aim, because Nomad 1, Hidden 1, Fremod 1 are all aim maps. Fremod 2 is mostly streams, and Hard Rock 3 is just also aim, but a precision map. So instead of going that route, instead of locking themselves into aim mechanics, the United States is going to say, I think we can do better on something else besides just the aim mechanics, because South Korea, they're also a very good team on those aim maps, and that doesn't seem like a winning line in this match. We're going to go with the Hidden 2 instead. This is another tech map, but it is a lot less mechanically intensive than the Nomad 4 that we saw earlier. Notably, much lower BPM, down at 181 BPM, much heavier slider tech emphasis in the first half, and a very heavy flow aim emphasis in the back quarter or so of this map.
Yeah, it's the least of the remaining evils, I suppose you could say, for maps available to pick for the United States. And it's an archetype of a map that, again, like, it emphasizes the differences in these teams this year compared to in past matchups, because, you know, tech is such a South Korea skill set. When you look at, again, you know, you look at worst HR player, you look at Flying Tuna, right? But looking at this 3WC roster, it's a little bit of a different scenario. And like you said as well, there's just not a lot of great options left in this pool for the USA to pick from. So, you know, this is kind of accomplishing two goals, right? It's giving you a map that does... a map that, you know, you maybe have an option that you're stronger on. I don't, you know, it's hard to feel great about anything when you're down 4-0, but you got to find some way to find maybe some amount of positivity in the matchup, and maybe a little hidden slider tech could be the way to go. I don't know how this plays out genuinely, but I like it from the perspective of wanting to switch things up and try to do something different. I definitely can appreciate that approach to a match that you're down 4-0 in for the United States.
Yeah, definitely the same goes for me. And again, I think the aim mechanics line is not a winning one here. So picking into, you're going to have to pick something different at some point here. And the United States say, well, may as well do it now. Let's get into the Hidden 2 here. A lot of hidden preference tech players for the United States, but the same goes for South Korea. So as you said, it's really hard to call which of these teams is going to be more comfortable. Out of the gate here, a couple of early breaks for Ethan Trix, Taquito, and Amamiya Kokoro. 3 FCs left on the board for 80 Nuggets, also known as Caleb or Bracket C Bracket. Fragrance of Page and Allegrissimo on the side of South Korea still holding for them. An ever so slight score lead for South Korea with another break to come through for Amamiya Kokoro, and now Fragrance of Page as well, finding the drop. Better supporting combo for the United States, and matching FCs means the score lead goes right over to the American side.
This is looking really good now for USA with the breaks from Allegrissimo and Amamiya Kokoro to come through. It is a miss from Caleb, but you have Ethan Trix and Taquito holding on to those big combos. Ethan Trix goes down. Taquito, though, this is like the skill set that he's probably best known for in the game is hidden tech, and he's showing us why here. Top score for the time being in the lobby, and helping the United States eke out a pretty small but still pretty reasonable 150K lead with the last third of the map to go. As you mentioned, a little bit flowier, a little bit less of that raw slider tech. But if the United States can just hang on to Taquito's combo a little bit longer, this one is going to be done and dusted, and it will be exactly what they needed here. With just a quarter of the map to go, it's a 240k lead. USA can maybe feel a little bit comfortable coming into the ending here.
There is a break there for Ethantrix going into the ending section. Taquito also finds the drop, and that is not what you want to see for the United States. Combos still going strong on South Korea, but I just don't know if there's enough time. It's still just about 200k. Now 175k score lead for the United States, but I don't think there's going to be enough time here. And with that break for Amamiya Kokoro, that is going to seal it up. Still going to be the point for the United States, despite the three-way drop at the end here for the U.S. They are going to close it out 96k in the lead on this hidden 2 against South Korea, and they finally make good on one of their picks, putting up 1 point on the board. Aaron, it's 4-1. Call an ambulance. But not for me. It's 4-1 for South Korea this time around. Maybe finally the United States gets the better end of the 4-1 curse. Who knows?
I don't believe much in curses, but it does feel like this scoreline has not been great for the team holding it over the past few times that we've seen them play. Gonna be an instant pick here from South Korea. Not gonna take any time thinking, not gonna waste any moments. They're just gonna go straight into this Nomad 3 selection. So they will save us trying to predict what it's going to be. I guess thank you, South Korea, for that. This was, of course, the final pick in their match earlier against Germany, dropping the 1.3 million score to win it by 373,000 to close out that match and move on to this one. And, well, we're not quite late enough in the match for the song to feel as appropriate as it may have in OWC, where it was the last match of the map of the entire tournament. So South Korea moving the script up a chapter or two, but you know, they're saying we like this skill set against the United States. We're gonna go back into it because I believe, if memory serves, they did win an alt pick. I want to say they won an alt pick against the United States last week as well. Yep, yeah. by like 400k, not a super close one. So makes sense.
And if you just go back historically, the last few years, 2022, 2023, 2024, that the United States and South Korea have played each other over and over again in the OS World Cup. Alt aim control in particular is really the bread and butter for South Korea against the United States. It is their skill set, their domain. So I think after losing that first point against the United States, South Korea, they want to make sure that there is no swing of momentum here, that the United States does not gain back that lost confidence, that they are still kept on their toes, and put another point on the board here as confidently as possible with this next pick. Amamiya Kokoro, Restia, and Fragrance of Page in for South Korea. Pez, Ethantrix, and Caleb in for the United States to try and take back one of those two lost break points from earlier on in the match. And this always looks like a good pick on paper for South Korea, but we did just see the United States win that hidden 2 with that flow aim and aim control focus. So let's see how well it works out in practice for South Korea. Certainly one that you can feel good about if you're betting on South Korea for this map, but the nature of tournaments. On paper is one thing. In practice is always a totally different beast, as we see a very, very early miss come out for Fragrance Page, Pez, Amamiya Kokoro, 80 Nuggets, all right at the start here. This map just holds no punches in the intro.
Yeah, the first few moments of this map are so incredibly difficult. The fact that there are 2 players holding FCs out of that intro is impressive in its own right, with Ethantrix and Restia making it through. But there goes Ethantrix, so you've got, well, nothing, because it's Restia to fall immediately after. I was going to say South Korea holding a decent combo lead, but not going to be the case. Oh, it's a full reset for the United States, though. Pez and Caleb both going down. Amamiya Kokoro and Fragrance Bay is looking to build up some combo, build up a lead for South Korea. This one is very long and it really never lets up on you at all. It is consistently difficult for 4 minutes of maps, so you will see quite a few breaks as have already been happening. But for now, it's practically that even. Full reset for South Korea, and now let's see what Caleb and Pez can do here for the USA to try to bring this back over.
Just these small combo leads over and over for both sides as everyone keeps trading out these combos. Restia, Pez, Amamiya Kokoro all go down, though. And that's a better trade for the United States once again. There goes Ethantrix. Caleb to hold during that next wiggle section, but finally finds the break. And now it's Fragrance of Page holding the one combo in the lobby. The only player to make it through that KI time with combo intact. Now up to 400 combo. And it's, again, just these small combo leads over and over again. Nobody building up a huge combo. But whenever you get one that's somewhat impactful, it always helps bring that score lead back over. And you look at the difference in scores here. It is 125k to 140k for everyone in the lobby besides Fragrance of Page, up at 180k right now. This is the player to watch for South Korea, as he is the sole difference maker in that score line right now, continuing to hold this 600 combo as we get another couple of breaks come through for Pez, Restia, 80 Nuggets, all finding breaks in short order. It's Amamiya Kokoro and Ethantrix matching, but Fragrance of Page left untouched for South Korea. Ethantrix finding yet another break for the side of the United States, and Pez has some combo, but not quite as much as Amamiya Kokoro. He goes down as well, so now it's Amamiya and Fragrance of Page holding uncontested. Finally, Fragrance of Page will go down, but not before cresting 300k. The next highest score in the lobby is 240k right now for Amamiya Kokoro, and this score lead reflects it, man. 150k doesn't sound like much, but when the team scores are 800k and 650k, it's a damn big lead for South Korea.
And it's a damn big lead on the back of what is, I can only think to describe as Forum version 2.0. With this sort of performance on a map like this, we're looking at worst HR player back in 3 digits once more. Amamiya Kokoro, though, now has taken over the mantle, leading the way for South Korea to make sure that lead stays intact regardless of what the United States might do. A full team reset for the USA, in fact, and Amamiya Kokoro now has the opportunity to take over the highest score in the lobby and does so. And these performances from South Korea are just ridiculous. Amamiya Kokoro and Fragrance of Page both just slamming this lobby to the ground, saying that they are not going to be touched by anybody else. The other 4 players not even coming close. And my goodness, South Korea is putting on a clinic this evening. A 430k from Amamiya Kokoro into the ending, a 450k for Fragrance of Page, and it's nearly a 300k margin of victory for South Korea. Just looking cool, calm, and collected. All things coming all together too easily for them as they take now a 5-1 lead. And look at that, United States, 1 player over 300k versus a 457k and a 428k. I mean, what can you do? What can you say other than what is South Korea on this week? Because my goodness, this is an entirely different team than we saw look almost meek at times against the United States only a week ago.
And that is a 1 miss for Fragrance of Page, by the way. That is an absolutely ridiculous scoreline. It's like 31 misses for Amamiya Kokoro, 28 misses for Restia, 14 misses for Pez, 13 misses for Ethantrix, and still, again, 12 misses for Caleb. So, yeah, just absolutely gapping the lobby in terms of miscount there for Fragrance of Page, and that combo is nothing to sneeze at, man. That is a ridiculous sort of score from Fragrance of Page. If you didn't find that 1 miss basically right in the middle of the map, that could have been an absolutely obscene score line on that Nomad 3. Note, he did drop 700k against Germany, so that's actually a low roll for South Korea's team score on that map, and they still almost 2v3'd. Very good pick for them, to say the least. A very, very strong pick for Team South Korea. And I think just solidifies what we saw earlier on the Fremod 4, that the USA do not want to pick alt aim control into this roster. So let's go somewhere else. How about the Nomad 2? How about one of these other aim picks? Maybe the DT1. Maybe something like the Fremod 2. It is very flow aim focused, that map. It's also 5 minutes. So as opposed to a lot of these shorter picks that we've seen so far, maybe something a little more lengthy could be good for the United States. Just focus on the consistency with that pick.
We're reaching the point where I don't even I don't know if consistency feels good. I don't know if anything feels good. Okay, so what the United States is doing here is saying we won a hidden pick, so we're going to select the other hidden map. I don't even know if there's any more thought process to this than that, quite honestly, because like knowing what we know about these teams, the United States picking an AIM consistency map into South Korea will always seem a little bit questionable. So this really just feels like we won AIM, let's pick another AIM map, or we won hidden, let's pick another hidden map. Excuse me. I don't know. If it works for them, great, but that feels like it's built on a bit of a house of cards.
Well, we'll see if it collapses or not. I think this is, at the very least, a solid information pick. Reminder for everyone watching: the United States
information pick down 5-1.
Yes, unironically, they have bracket reset. Okay,
true.
It's not Cope. They have bracket reset.
True.
At the same time, right, if you do win this convincingly as the United States, suddenly there's a lot of other options, right? Nomad 1's still open, Fremod 1's still open, DT1 is speedy, but it's also an AIM map. So there's a lot of options that open themselves up to you if you do win this convincingly as the United States. So they avoided this earlier, but I think with the extra confidence from that hidden 2, now going into this with a couple of very good hidden players on their side. Again, Ethan-Trix, 80 Nuggets, and Taquito, all very solid hidden players, also very good aim players. The United States should feel comfortable picking this map. And to be frank, I don't know exactly what their other options are, right? There's not too much to go off based off the hidden 2. South Korea has won everything else. You don't want to pick stuff like the Hard Rock 2. You banned out Hard Rock 1, so you're probably not picking the Hard Rock 3. Maybe you can pick into speed, but you did lose the DT2 earlier, so that's not even guaranteed either, right? So what other options are there that look guaranteed? There really aren't any for this United States roster here, which makes me think that at the very least, this hidden 1 has something in common with the pick they've already won. It opens them up to a bunch of other options if they do win convincingly. Seems like a good pick when you are down in a match like this.
All right, so the copium here is that worst case scenario, this is valuable info gathering.
Exactly.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah, worst case scenario, they get the info on this for bracket reset, right? So, let's see.
All right, well, we'll see what happens. Early break for 80 Nuggets. Not 79 Nuggets nor 81 Nuggets, but precisely 80 Nuggets. He will be the first to fall, be about 200 combo behind as we build our way into the first Ki section here. And we will learn from this. You know, the famous phrase about improving in video games, right? Win or learn. Those are your two options. But there goes Taquito, there goes 80 Nuggets again. Meanwhile, South Korea still holding the 3 away. Ethan-Trix doing everything he can, but he is up against a triple full combo for South Korea, and finally will also fall, but so do Ame Kokoro Frigger Bait. So South Korea not going to gain much from that as Allegrisimo. Okay, it's just a full lobby reset. The only person with over 100 combo is 80 Nuggets himself, as South Korea has established just like that a 125k lead, but there is a lot of map to go and a near even amount of combo across the board.
Yeah, the one benefit for South Korea, they did hold longer during that Ki time, so they had higher combo for a longer amount of time, and that does give them the score lead, though it's starting to move back towards the United States very slowly as we get into this next difficult section, and the United States going to need to hold for a little bit longer than that if they want to take it back. So let's see how this next Ki time goes. A couple of breaks right at the start, though, for both 80 Nuggets and Taquito. It's just Ethan-Trix once again holding during the start of that Ki time. Amamiya Kokoro and Allegrisimo will trade, albeit a little delayed. And there goes Ethan-Trix now. Fragrance of Page left alone. And we saw in the Nomad 3 what he can do when left alone. Not going to do it again this time around. Does find the break pretty much right afterwards. But you can see everyone on South Korea just holding ever so slightly longer, just slightly more consistent at gathering combo on this map. Because all of them are up by about 50 to 70k on this map. Every single one of them right at about 350k. And every single member of the United States right around 290, 300k.
Yes, these teams are desperately trying to till the fields of combo, and while South Korea has managed to gather a small amount, the USA has seen that the fields of combo lay fallow before them, and it will be South Korea to take the advantage in such a manner, and it is a 200k lead now in their favor. And well, it is going to be information gathered even if combo was not for the United States, as they will learn that perhaps aim doesn't work for them either. And at the end of the day, if aim doesn't work, tech doesn't work, speed doesn't work, reading doesn't work, I'm not really sure what's left. The United States is going to have to do some real soul searching before the bracket reset, because I unfortunately, 6-1 now down, do not really see a way for them to get back into this particular set of this grand final.
Yeah, I agree. What's left is match point for South Korea. That's what's left for the United States, as we get just a full lobby of South Korean players all beating out all 3 United States players on that map. And South Korea now at match point in this first bout of grand finals. Reminder once again for everyone watching, the United States does have bracket reset. So they do get a second chance at winning the tournament. If South Korea does win this, they have to win a second time in a row, because the United States already beat them once in the winners finals. So they would have to win twice in order to knock them out of the tournament. From here, though, as you said, it does not look very good for the United States. So South Korea, pick of the litter, it feels like, with what's left in the pool now. I don't think they go into the Nomad 2 just because they banned out that DT3, right? The higher BPM speed, it seems they have avoided for now. And they're going to agree with that at the very least. Not the Nomad 2. They're going to go with the Hard Rock 2 instead. Kate Sith by Quadruple A and Umeboshi Chazke. This is finger control, alt, stream, flow aim, aim control. A few things.
It's
a few things in this map. Yeah, just a couple of skills. You know, there's a lot going on here, but the biggest points of interest are the aim control, the finger control, and the flow aim in this map.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to me, it feels like I think the finger control, the kind of rhythm changing elements of this are kind of first and foremost among those skill sets that you listed out, and that, you know, is kind of the niche it's occupying in this particular pool. So perhaps the well, it's almost an info gather from South Korea here as well, to be honest. It's like, how do we feel about Hard Rock? How do we feel about some of these kind of awkward rhythm changing maps? Because there are, you know, you do have like the free mod 3 in the pool has kind of got some of that weirdness to it. And also there's the finger control in DD4 if for some reason that gets left up in a possible bracket reset that seems very likely. So, you know, there's some things you can take away from this if you're South Korea. So, also it's just kind of a cool little song. And at this stage in the match, why not just pick something that's a cool little song?
True. Well, I will, before we get into this map, I will also say, for anyone looking forward to watching the bracket reset, you're going to have to wait a week. If we do go to bracket reset, if South Korea does indeed close it out tonight and win this match, bracket reset will be next week, once again, Sunday 4 UTC, exactly 1 week from the time this match started. So, unfortunately, we will be waiting a week to watch that bracket reset together. And we'll give both teams some extra time to practice the pool, some extra time to develop their strategies, and a lot of information to work with before that bracket reset. So, South Korea looking to close it out here on the Hard Rock 2. Allegrissimo, Amamiya Kokoro, and Fragrance of Page looking to send the United States to the right side of the screen for next weekend's bracket reset. The USA, Bashiman, Flamestear, and Pez looking to prevent that second match and start the comeback of a lifetime, down 1-6, backs against the wall, for the next 6 maps in a row.
You know, you never like any team's chances in this sort of scenario, but if there's any team that perhaps you could see a world in which they could maybe do the impossible, it might be the United States, considering their history in World Cup style tournaments. But South Korea has just looked so good this entire match. It's hard to imagine them losing that many maps in a row. Even one map in a row might be asking quite a bit here of this United States squad. But this one's staying close in the early goings, about a quarter of the way through. near negligible score gap. A break from Fragrance of Page should give the lead over, but it does not because there's going to be a traded from Bashi, from Pez, from Amamiya Kokoro. Now you've got Alagrisimo versus Flamesteer on virtually identical combo. Alagrisimo with a sizable accuracy advantage, and now a combo advantage as well as Flamesteer falls. So we will be watching Alagrisimo with the largest combo in the lobby, really the only notable combo in the lobby, and the lead going the way of South Korea as the resets come thick and fast through these difficult rhythm change flow aim sections of this map. Finally, Alagrisimo goes down. It's 70k lead for South Korea, but Bashiman now can take over, perhaps, for the United States. The only combo now till be left.
It feels like there's been so much map already that we've gone through, but we're just about halfway through this pick. There's still quite a lot of really tricky finger control patterns to go through here. These buzz sliders can be a little bit more difficult than they let on as well. But Bashiman able to hold, Flamesteer able to hold, does find the break there, and there goes Bashiman as well. It's a three-way delayed reset for the USA. Pez now breaking once again as well. And Amamiya Kokoro, the only one to trade for South Korea. Alagrisimo and Fragrance of Page. Once again, it's South Korea just finding the better end of all of these combo breaks across, it feels like, every map in this match. It was 7-1 versus Germany yesterday, and they're looking to repeat that performance here against the United States in the first round of Grand Finals. Finally a drop for Fragrance of Page, but Alagrisimo continues to hold, continues to build this score lead into the last quarter of the map, now up to 170,000 score, as it's Pez matching Amamiya Kokoro. Flamesteer was holding that same combo, but does find the break as well, and Alagrisimo left alone as a four-way, now six-way wipe comes through, and that is a 200,000 score lead going nowhere fast for South Korea. They're going to take this map, they're going to take this match, knock USA down to the loser's bracket, and force that bracket reset for next weekend.
And man, I was this close to saying that South Korea feels like a United States team at this point, but really it's just South Korea feeling like South Korea. They've won this tournament twice in a row. They've won the, regular OSU World Cup in the meantime. They're just the team to beat, and they're capable of putting on these late-stage performances that we used to ascribe to the United States. Now it's just South Korea. You just have to say they're seeming like the best team in the world in pretty much, in OWC, and now maybe 3WC as well, forcing this bracket reset in resounding fashion, 7-1. This was never close, right? There was never a time in this match where it felt like the United States was really a threat to South Korea, and that's a terrifying prospect. And now, Dio, this is something that I'm really curious about. If you're South Korea, you're regretting this rescheduled bracket reset because you want to say, no, we just won 7-1. We just won 2 matches in a row, 7-1. Like, let's just keep this going and finish this thing off. We've got all the momentum, and we've got them on all the back, like, not just one back foot. Like, they're back on their heels. They've fallen over. They are so far on the back foot. But now they have to wait an entire week, and now the United States gets an opportunity to reset their mental, to practice the things that they didn't do well, and to adjust their strategy. This is incredible. Like, in every sense that you can take an advantage out of losing a match 7-1, those are the advantages that the United States has to take away from that. The problem is the United States still just lost 7-1 and never looked competitive, and that's what's going to be most important.
Yeah, it's very good information for the United States. It's extra practice time for the United States, but it's also information for South Korea. They can say, okay, we were really favored on this pool. We were really favored in this match. We played well. If we just keep up the practice and do that again next weekend, same time, same place, same pick strategy, worked out damn well in the first bout of Grand Finals. I don't see why it wouldn't work out well in the bracket reset either. So the United States, the ball's in their court, right? They are the ones who need to figure out a path forward through bracket reset, because this, as you said, did not look very close at pretty much any point during the match. It was a 4-0 lead to start for South Korea before the United States even got their first point, and then it was another 3 in a row to close things out for the Koreans as well. So the United States, they've got a lot of work to do if they want to win this tournament and put a stop to a three-peat from the South Korean team. The last time anyone else won the 3-digit World Cup was in 2022, when Hong Kong was the winning team, back then when they had both Suwagi and MCY4 and Shiraha Yuki, a couple of other people as well who were very, very strong at that time. Last 2 years in a row, 2023 and 2024, it's been South Korea, and 2025 is looking to be a three-peat unless the United States has anything to say about it next week.
And man, South Korea stretching the proverbial elastic, and next week it might just snap to the detriment of the United States, but we'll have to wait around and see. It will be, as mentioned, same time, same place, 1 week out for UTC next Sunday. So that is Sunday, the 23rd of March. It will be the grand final bracket reset. That one's really for all the marbles. No matter what happens, the tournament will end with the result of that match. And the USA's got some soul searching to do in the 7-day interim period between this first set and that reset. South Korea not going to rest on their laurels here, I'm sure. They will be ready to close this thing out. They're going to take as much out of this match as they can, all the momentum, all the scores going their way. So they will look to close this out in a week's time, and we will be here to see if they can do it. So for everybody here tonight, thank you for watching. Congratulations to South Korea on their win in this first set of the grand finals. And we will be back in 7 days. It'll be the bracket reset. Gives you plenty of time to support us. Check out Wooting, check out Acrid, and remember that, you've got 7 days to get any last-minute donations into the prize pool. So if you do want to, or have the desire to support the stream, support the tournament, you can do that as well. You've got 7 days. Might as well put it to good use. I've been this one guy for everybody here. We will see you in 7 days for the bracket reset of 3-digit World Cup 2025. Good luck to both teams, and we'll see y'all then.
See you next weekend.